At the end of last month, I spent 4 days camping in a beautiful new forest. I packed my sketchbook, a couple of pens, and a new watercolor set I have been saving for a special occasion. My plan was simply to slow down, enjoy nature, and hopefully come home with a few sketches. We left on a very hot bank holiday Monday, and what is normally a 2-hour drive turned into almost 4 hours as we got stuck in the holiday traffic heading towards the coast. By the time we finally arrived, we were all very hot and exhausted. But seeing the ponies grazing just outside the campsite immediately changed our mood. Somehow it finally felt like holiday had begun. I was especially excited because this trip would be the first proper outing for my new Roman Szmal watercolours. This set was one of my birthday presents and I had been saving it for the right moment. These paints are made in my native country, Poland, and I've heard so many wonderful things about them over the years. They are handmade with high quality pigments and a touch of linden honey in the binder. As a Pole, I just felt obliged to try them out. This particular palette was created in collaboration with urban sketcher Marek Bądzyński. I chose it because it offers a lovely balance of warm and cool colors and comes in a compact metal tin with plenty of mixing space. I did a quick swatch before the trip and I was immediately impressed by the vibrancy of the colors, but I was also curious to see how they would perform outdoors. Although we stayed in the forest, we spent one afternoon at the nearby beach. I managed to do a very quick sketch, although to be honest, it was so hot that I mostly hid under a parasol while my son played in the sand. The next morning I woke up early and slipped out of the tent while everyone else was still asleep. I could hear the birds singing somewhere high in the trees and a soft sound of wind moving through the leaves. I have always loved these early mornings outdoors. There is something magical about sitting quietly with a sketchbook while the world slowly wakes up around you. The following day was again very hazy, warm, and hardly any breeze. I spent about 10 minutes painting this simple seascape. Again, I wasn't interested in details, I just wanted to capture the misty atmosphere and the calmness of the scene. These were the only sketches I completed during the trip itself. Even though there aren't many of them, I really enjoyed using my new paints, and I decided to continue sketching once I got back home. Although we spent a couple of days enjoying the beach, some of my favorite moments happened during our evening walks across the heathland. That's when we encountered the New Forest ponies. I started with a few loose pencil sketches before painting this mare and her foal. There was such a tenderness between them. The way they stood close together, completely calm, made me stop and watch them for a while. I knew I wanted to capture that moment, even if only very loosely. This next sketch was inspired by another evening walk. The light was so beautiful in the late evening, and I couldn't resist taking a few photographs as a reference for later. This sketchbook page became a bit of an experiment. I tested some of the colors again and compared them to a few favorites from Winsor Newton, Schminke and Daniel Smith. I must say, the Roman Szmal paints held up beautifully. I was especially impressed by the greens. Normally, I prefer mixing my own, but both sap green and Aquarius green in this set are gorgeous and incredibly useful for quick sketches outdoors. Greens are probably the colors I used most in my sketches, so this felt like a real bonus. Finally, I filled the last spread with this woodland scene from Oberwater. At first, I was drawn to the exposed roots growing at the edge of the stream, but then I noticed the soft pink gravel path contrasting with the dark water and the reflections of the trees. The whole scene felt quiet and slightly mysterious. When I look through this sketchbook now, a few weeks after the trip, I realize these drawings are really just small souvenirs of those days away. None of them are particularly complicated sketches, but together they remind me of moments I might otherwise have forgotten. And I think that's why I still keep a sketchbook after all these years. Not to create masterpieces, not even to make beautiful drawings every time, but simply to pay attention. To notice the colors of the water, the shape of the tree root, the tenderness between a mare and her foal, and to bring a little piece of those moments home with me. I'd love to know if you keep a sketchbook when you travel. Do tell me in comments below. I'm always curious how other people collect memories from their journeys. And if you're interested in the art materials I used in this video, I am putting together a list of my favorite art supplies on my website. I'll leave the link in the description. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in the New Forest, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!